join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That was already said.
Oh, okay. Welcome to the February 11th meeting of the Board of Trustees for the School Town of Speedway. We will be operating off of an 8-item agenda tonight, the first item of which is to approve the minutes from our last meeting, January 14th.
I'll move that we approve the minutes from January 14th, 2020.
I'll second. Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes. Is there any discussion? All in favor of approving last month's meeting minutes, raise your hand. All opposed? All right. Whoa. Yaza. Don't drop something over there. The second item on our agenda is that by law, we are required at this point in the processes that we are going through to hold a public hearing regarding additional appropriation in the rainy day fund. And so that public hearing will now open. You have anything you'd like to say about that? Okay. Okay. Not hearing any public comment on the additional appropriation in the rainy day fund, we will close the hearing. And at this point, I would ask that our superintendent give us his recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. President. I recommend that the school board adopts the enclosed resolution to seek additional appropriation. In that appropriation, that will allow us to proceed with paying down the construction of Newby, high school air conditioning, junior high gym LED lights, band instruments, and sound system for the high school gym. With this, we moved money and transferred money up to $1.7 million in the rainy day fund for this reason. And after, if we so choose to pay for all these things, as I just stated, we will still at the end of the year have around $400,000 to $500,000 left in our rainy day fund to be solid in that fund for the years to come.
What's the board's pleasure on this?
I'll move we adopt the superintendent's recommendation to move with the appropriation for the rainy day funds.
And I'll second that.
All in favor of adopting the resolution to seek the additional appropriation, please indicate by raising your hand. Opposed? Okay. That passes 5-0.
He has to sign it to us after we all sign it. Just one copy.
Yes.
And then back, right?
Just have it back.
Look at share.
No, we're not sharing.
I'm not even authorized to say it.
Your water. Opening the bids, I just left mine in there. Opening the envelopes.
Is that going to Jew or to John?
Just go to him.
Okay. So with that taken care of, we'll move on to have a report on school accountability.
For the last couple of years, schools have received some grades for how schools have done according to state testing. If you follow the General Assembly right now, there's a hold harmless for the state grades. That's not finished yet, but it looks like that's going to happen as far as state grades are concerned. But the federal grade that comes out was released in January. So last year, if you remember, we received 2 grades, and that gets kind of confusing from a state grade to a federal grade. So our Department of Education had an amendment to the ESSA plan to the United States Department of Education, and we chose to go, instead of a grade, go to a federal rating system. So now we have a federal rating system that says schools can be rated as either exceeds expectations, meets expectations, approaches expectations, or does not meet expectations. And in your packet is a copy of the Federal Accountability Report Card. For K-8 buildings, what that means is that they have indicators, and one of those indicators is how our students in K-8 do on English language arts and math achievement. Then there's another indicator of English language arts and math progress. And then there's an English language arts achievement gap, which is interesting because they take the bottom 25% in your building, and you're measured how those students do on adequate growth towards proficiency of the bottom 25%, both English language arts and in math. And then there's an English language progress. So our students that are now non-English speaking students take a WIDA test, and we're measured on how those students do on the WIDA test. And then the 8th category for K-8 buildings is in addressing chronic absenteeism. For the high schools, very similar. For the high schools, they have achievement on the I-STEP test, progress on the I-STEP test. They also have graduation rate, which is a measure on how students do in 4 years, the cohort in 4 years. The strength of the diploma, which is how many students graduate with a Core 40 or honors diploma. EL progress also, how our kids do on the WIDA test, and also addressing chronic absenteeism. I'm proud to report tonight that all 4 Speedway Elementary Schools and Speedway Junior High School received a meet expectation rating, and that Speedway High School achieved an exceeds expectation federal rating. I guarantee you that our surrounding partners in Marion County did not get that. So we're very proud of what we did receive, and all of them meeting expectation and the high school exceeding. And at this time, I'll answer any questions that you have about that federal report card rating system. It is complicated, but it's the way we did on it was commendable.
I'm not exactly sure what we could do. I guess they have a monthly newspaper, but is there any way to let people know this is what happened? Website, maybe?
Yeah, I think it's time for us to publish it. It just came out in January, so kind of waiting on seeing what they were doing with the state report card to do them both at the same time, but it's almost for certain they're going to do the hold harmless with that. So putting the federal ratings out there, I think, is a great idea.
Okay.
Great idea. Putting it on our website is easiest, and putting it out in our local newspapers. We have someone that wants to print something about the schools all the time, so
Yeah.
I think that'd be a great idea.
Okay. Thank you.
What effect? What happens if you don't get the rating you want, or what happen? What is this? What is this actually?
It's a great question. If you don't meet or exceed expectations, there can come a point in time where there's a takeover if you have several years of does not meet expectations.
From the federal government?
Yeah. So there can be some ramifications with federal grants. Each year they've changed this. I mean, the absenteeism, chronic absenteeism would be a perfect example of something I foresee changing in the very near future. For example, model absenteeism is 97%, model, not exceeds, but model. And if you were to have 96% absenteeism, then they take individual students, so if a student had 96% absenteeism in the year, they count against you. And if you had someone that had very poor absences, 80% absent, the only way they can count in your favor is if you raise that 3% the following year. So if you think about that, if you have a 96% attendee rate for a student, that's still pretty good, but they would have to get to 99 before they would count, in your favor the following year, because it takes 97% to. It's a system that Indiana was one of the only states that chose 97%. The only state that chose 97%. By definition, by truancy, chronic absenteeism is 10 absences a year. 10 absences a year, so it kind of goes against even what our truancy rate says. So I see that changing one of these days. I mean, it's a moving target all the time.
It seems to me like we mostly hear talk about, developing plans to meet the state, like we really target. Do we do that with this also? And is this again just kind of you get it and it just seems like not.
I would say the answer to that question is most of these things are kind of go along with what the state does. The WIDA, for example, the WIDA score, the state has never counted those students. Those students were included in our, just included in the test that we would take. And some of them didn't have to take the test or took the test and it didn't count if they were first year into the United States. Well, now they count on the federal report card, and it's a separate group of kids that we have to make progress with. It just raises the stakes on how we should be doing with those type of students. And if you remember back in October when we gave you the I Learn and I Step results, if you remember, one of the areas that we were outstanding in was with our EL population. Matter of fact, again, we received some recognition from the state on how well we did with our EL population. So is it something we target? Honestly, no. I mean, it's not one of those things where we say, we want to improve in this category. It's kind of we understand that WIDA now is, one of those factors. So it is one of those things we put more emphasis in.
And with our population, let me jump in here, with 1,864 students in our fall ADM, we're at 34% with ESLL students. So students, 3.4 out of every 10 that's in an elementary, by the statistics and the data, show that English is their second language. That's the assessment. The indicators for the federal and the state are the same as the state test they take. So it's the same type of assessment, yet they use some different ratings and weights to give us the federal. We didn't know where we would lay with this, but after we got it back, we're very pleased where we are. Now we kind of know what the game looks like, and we can adjust a little bit for next year on this. Strength of graduation diploma, that's a different ball of wax than what we're used to. It used to be just performance. What everyone took the test, and that's where it was. Every kid that walked in the door. Now they have growth in each individual. So this is like Mr. Disney said, a moving target. We're very pleased with this. Let's not forget we're 59% in this corporation, free and reduced. As I've been talking to many people in the community about that, we have our hands full, and this is a testament to our teachers and our leaders in our buildings that we put our focus on the classroom, in the classroom, each and every day. and I'm very proud of that. So this is really, hands-off. This is to the teachers and the leadership. I think this is a great accolade right now for meeting expectations and just meeting the expectations for the first time ever of the federal report card. Very proud of them.
What jumps out to me is, while we're doing great in the elementaries, that progress happens then at the junior high, and then it steps up again at the high school. So the longer our students will stay with us in this community, the more progress we can make. And I think that's a real compliment to our teachers.
That's a great point. We talk about that a lot, but it's, it's yet another piece of evidence of that. Anything else on this, guys? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Disney.
Then moving on, the fourth item is to have an update on the Newby Project.
Our rating came back, and we are AA plus for the global ratings for the Newby Project, which is good news in general. Again, our scope for this project is 5 additional classrooms, which is a net 4, because one of those classrooms will be a move into a student bathroom, and that's going to start in June through July. Once we finish the school year, we'll be able to complete that with our students in the classroom, and as soon as that last day hits, the end of May, we're going to move them out, and we will, Newby will be closed for a few months so we can finish up and get ready for the fall of 20, August 1st, on first day back. But student bathrooms, the security doors are in plan. That was an alternative. Updated mechanic room. We're replacing the chiller, matching existing, and our staff bathroom. I want to throw that in for the staff. We are going to have a bathroom for them. That's good. So that's the scope of the project. Again, 3D professionals won the bid, and they're working hard to get all the permits completed. We have one hanging out there right now with IPL, but it sounds like either this afternoon or tomorrow, hopefully that goes through, and that's a big task there. So that's all complete with our permits, and we'll be able to start probably doing some demo this next few days. So it's going to go quick, and by spring break, I think the community will see some structure up, and it's going to be exciting. By the middle of summer, July 17th, we should be able up and running and start waxing floors and moving chairs and whatnot in. It's going to be exciting times over at Newby. Other than that, tomorrow we sell our bonds, and then I'll give you more information and update in March meeting on how everything's turning out. But right now, we're on track, we're on time. I'm a happy guy. Next month, I don't know about that. But right now, I'm very happy. So, thank you.
They got the
Questions?
fencing up and stuff.
There is fencing,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah. So the box is checked. They have a fence up, at least for safety. I'm happy. So the gate's closed down now there by Newby, and I know. No kickball for a few days, but we'll survive. We'll come together and find a way to maybe play kickball out in the grass. Questions?
Then the fifth item is the acknowledgement of $184,267.24 in grants.
Very much.
And then our personnel report.
On the personnel report this month, we have 3 teachers that have submitted their letters of resignation and have a long tenure at Speedway Schools. Beth Compton is a first grade teacher at Wheeler Elementary School. Stephen Hawkins, 6th grade teacher at Allison Elementary. And Bob Lindhorn, who's been an English and social studies teacher, currently an English and social studies teacher at Speedway High School. Between the 3 of these outstanding teachers, we have 88 years of experience. And I say that, and it's just really hard to replace experience, and we wish them the best. We also have a resignation of custodian Terry Sperling. And for hiring, I recommend that we hire Deb Pendleton, and in your packet, there isn't, she doesn't have her information there because Deb has been working with us as a sub-custodian for a while, and now she's moving into full-time. And Thomas Hart, and Thomas is working at the junior high as a custodian. And then Deanne Martin will take a temporary contract for disability leave, hopefully starting on February the 18th. And my recommendation is that you approve this personnel report as presented.
I'll move,
Tom?
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'll move we approve the personnel report as presented.
Luke?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor of approving the personnel report as presented, indicate by raising your hand. All opposed? Personnel report is approved, 5-0. Lastly, we would recognize visitors. Welcome. And do we have any other business? Having no other business, we will retire to approve claims.